to
continue
this
the
guy.
affection, or
But let's
What?
keep it
No
in the
canopy conversations?
keep it in the KUM News Zoom room. Senator Frank Blas Jr. Jumping on here.
I don't know if you want to be in the canopy, but like with the rain having come down in the last couple of days as it has been.
That's true.
It's a little muggy. Good morning, Senator.
Stay inside, have some soup.
Could do, Jason. Could do. Okay.
Have some soup inside.
Good,
Some minestrone.
good morning.
Good
Jason's
morning.
absolutely right. You know, I decided, okay, let's do this indoors today.
Right on. Well, thanks for joining us, Senator. Wanted to bring you on just about a bunch of things, Bree.
First, what's that?
What is that?
I like that. I like how you handed that off, Chris.
I know. All right.
I was like, there you go.
Peyton Manning couldn't have handed that off any better.
Right on.
Wow. Really?
First, let's talk about budget because I'm not sure what all is going on there, or if you guys are getting answers that you need.
You know, Bree, thanks for bringing it up. And throughout the budget process, I've held the line with regard to, okay, I'm not, I guess my confidence level on our economy picking up, you know, anytime soon, most especially over the next fiscal year, is not really that high. And but at the same token, you know, there's been, as was reported, over $3.5 billion worth of federal funding that has come to the island as a result of the pandemic programs. And so, you know, my whole, you know, my line of questioning was, okay, how do we leverage this funding? How do we leverage this money so that we can provide the government service that's necessary? You know, along, you know, recognizing that we're still not up to par with being able to fully fund all the different agencies, but making sure that the agencies that the community does rely on a 24-hour basis, you know, does get its funding. How do we leverage the monies that we've been able to receive with the shortfalls that we're sure to have over the next fiscal year? I was very disappointed in that. You know, first off, you know, and rightfully so, I was accused of, you know, I don't want to say accused, but, you know, reminded. I asked that question once before, but I keep telling them this as well. I keep asking the question because I don't get the answer. And, you know, and the question is, how are you going to use this money? Or how are we going to be able to leverage this? And, you know, when I don't get that kind of answer, when we don't get that answer that's necessary, it makes it very difficult to be able to come up with a budget that will be able to fulfill the needs, you know, of what the community should expect from government services. But then also, you know, how the government is going to be able to pay its what it owes, and not just to vendors, but in the point of the case of tax returns and otherwise to the people of Guam. So going back to, you know, where we're at with the budget, we, you know, obviously yesterday we finished with the committee on the whole. Today we're going into what, from my understanding, over 14 different amendments that will be in Chapter 1, you know, which is basically the breakdown of the revenues, the projections of the revenues, and how the money is going to be divvied up. So it'll be interesting to find out, you know, what how these amendments will affect, you know, the bottom line of the budget that's being presented. I've already expressed, and I'll openly express to people I am, if this budget goes $5 more than already what has been provided by OFB, I'm not voting for it. If we can go for downward departure because we're recognizing that it's not going to be as rosy as some people may think it will be, I'm more amenable to that, but nothing more than what has already been proposed by OFB.
All right, we're going to jump over to KUAM TV right now. Guys, you can jump over to KUAM TV, our radio stream. I know they're working on it. You can stream us at KUAM.com. And, of course, there's our Facebook live stream as well. So KUAM TV, here we come. Good morning, KUAM TV, and welcome to The Link. It's Thursday, August 19, 2021, brought to you by Pacific Points, Cabo Enterprises, IT&E, and Jack in the Box. We resume our interview with Senator Frank Blas Jr. right here on The Link. Good morning, KUAM TV. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning. Good morning, Chris, Bree, Jason, and people of Guam.
I wanted to go ahead and we'll just continue our discussion because you were mentioning that today. It looks like you guys are going to be discussing the amendments to the budget bill. Was there any discussion, or do you plan on bringing this forward, the amendment that you and Senator Moylan introduced?
Well, that amendment is actually going to go in a later section of the bill today. We're going to be concentrating basically on chapter 1, primarily on chapter 1. Okay. The miscellaneous provision portion of the bill is near the back end of what is generally typically a 150, 160 page bill. So that's still a long time coming. I think that right now the focus primarily again is on the bottom line of what the revenues are going to be projected to be and how it's going to be spent. And so that's what we're working on today.
Okay. So let's just move on from the budget, because we're all going to watch this go down later this morning. I wanted to go into something that is kind of really concerning, and it deals with procurement. First, have you received any response from the Attorney General on your request for accountability, to hold someone accountable for the hot mess with the quarantine hotels? First round.
Well,
the governor's son-in-law.
I received a call from the AG's office about Thursday, I think it was, of last week, Wednesday or Thursday, with the assurance that I was going to get a letter from them either by the end of last week or the early part of this week. Okay? So, no. The answer is no. I have not received it. And I'm anticipating, I'm patiently waiting. I was pretty surprised first off that I got that I received a phone call assuring me that they'll be addressing my matter and sending me a letter. But now, hey, so where's the letter? Leaving. You promised me a letter. Where's the letter?
Well, I don't know if you saw this. There's a story on KUAM News last night, relative to procurement, and while we're on the subject of emergency procurement, emergency purchases, there's an appeal before the Office of the Public Auditor, and this is relative to the purchase of golf carts. Emergency purchase of golf carts. Yeah. And so I know you saw the story, and basically what it was they put out a bid, the companies responded, but then after business hours on a Friday, the day before the quotes were due, the General Services Agency had changed the specs and made it so that they required immediate delivery of these emergency golf carts, and apparently AutoSpot had won the bid because they were the only ones who could immediately deliver the golf carts, and that wasn't even mentioned in the original request for a quote. And so they had the initial hearing yesterday. It'll be continued September 16th. But just on its surface, Senator, what did you make of that timeline? Very interesting timeline with this so-called procurement of golf carts. For the emergency. Yeah. First of all, is it an emergency to buy golf carts, Senator? We'll just start there.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, and that's actually the area that I wanted to focus on. Okay, it is other than the procurement in this matter, it's procurement in other matters, as well as other orders or mandates that have been provided under the emergency powers. One has to question, and I question, whether or not this is in fact an emergent matter that necessitates the need to continue to be governed by executive orders. Over the last few executive orders, I've been reviewing it, and I said, okay, I see why this could help in being able to deal with the virus, but where's the emergency in this? In that, it appears that you at least should have taken some time to vet it out and have discussions. Okay, This was not something that, okay, effective in 24 hours, we're going to need to do this. There was not a whole lot of need as opposed to wanting things to happen. So one has to question as to whether or not, this falls in line, or this necessitates a continuous need to be under emergency declaration or continue to be governed by executive order. That said, it's going back to the procurement. Yes, first off, what was the emergent need that you needed golf carts almost immediately, and you couldn't wait for it for 30 days? This was for procurement, obviously, that was in July of this year, right? Am I correct? Or June?
Yeah, this year.
Okay. And if I can remember correctly, I think everybody's memory of this thing is that we were put under executive order, and I would think back in March of last year. So the emergency, has gone. So what was the emergent need for golf carts that had to fall under this, we need it right away. And how were you doing it over the last few weeks or few months, for that matter, that now today made it an emergency, made it necessary for you to buy it, first off under sole source, secondly and under, emergency powers. So there was a lot of question, and maybe I can see that in the appeal that was brought before the Office of the Public Auditor, it will be basically based on, the technicality of the law, all right, of how the procurement law should be set up, and whether or not, 543, the day before the bids were due, that you were going to all of a sudden make a major, substantial change to basically a bid package. That I think is what the OPA is going to look at. I think that the bigger picture is whether or not it was necessary. It continues for us to be necessary to have to be, our lives to be governed by executive orders, and in these executive orders, we basically qualify or authorize, emergency procurements or procurements such as this.
Yeah.
So that's really that's the area too that I'm interested in looking into a little bit further.
Yeah, just to go into the need, because you talked about the need, what GSA and the governor's office. So it's interesting that the governor's office is so involved in procuring these golf carts because they don't have any procurement authority. Everybody knows that. Just going back to the need, was they had said that they needed it to transport Manomco and people with disabilities at the vaccination clinics. But I know that Attorney Walsh in his appeal filing had said that they'd already been vaccinating senior citizens for months, right?
Yeah, why didn't we see this emergent need, months before when we were doing this? Again, logically it didn't fit. It didn't sound right. It didn't look right. And so again, let's let the system, take its course. This is a case, or this is a complaint that has been brought to the Office of the Public Auditor. Let him do his job and everything. Let's find out from there what the concerns are. But at the same token, the bigger picture in this is, okay, why do we need to continue to be under, this state of emergency, and that, the utilization of executive orders in some cases, in a lot of cases, basically to circumvent the law, which is, seems to be a lot of the excuses when, we catch people with their hand in the cookie jar when it's not supposed to be there. Right. And so, it goes back to, again, your initial question of that amendment that Jim and I proposed for the miscellaneous section of the budget bill. That's but a portion of this fall discussion that we need to have. Okay, enough's enough. We have to have, and there has to be community involvement in the discussions of what we need to do now to move forward. Okay, we know it's an emergency. We've been in an emergency, but how long does this emergency last that you can continue to say that I'm going to unilaterally make all of these decisions that are going to affect the economy and the lives of our people, in some cases, for eternity.
Forever! Thank you, Senator. We're going to let you go because I know you got to do your break out your calculator for the budget. I don't know what you guys are going to add because you don't got no money. All the governor got all the money.
And again, Chris, I'm going to openly state, anything above the budget as proposed by OFB, I am not going to support. I am amenable to, reducing, unfortunately, because I know people are going to say, well, you're going to cut back on the services or you're going to affect my workplace. Ladies and gentlemen, if we don't have the money, we can't pay for it. And if we can't pay for it, I'm not going to be able to say, go ahead and continue to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator.
Right on.
All right,
Good
you guys
luck.
take care, okay?
You too. Yeah, I mean, just relative to what he said about how long do we need to be under this emergency, I think that they're clearly taking advantage of being under this emergency to do things like fiddle with the procurement. I mean, I can't see any other reason why we're still doing emergency procurement for golf carts. It's ridiculous. It's 8:13. It's going to be pretty crazy. We got Dr. Howell Wan of the Physicians Advisory Group coming on, Superintendent John Fernandez, Dr. Felix Cabrera in the next hour. We also got to do news at 8:12. It's brought to you by Pacific Points right here on the link. It's Thursday, August 19th, 2021. Looking like a beautiful morning outside. And now with the very latest from the KUAM News team. Ladies and gentlemen,